Hey, I'm Kate Hillis, and I am actually a content producer. And as Mark was saying, we created a documentary series called, I'll give you a little background before I go into what Qwidget is. We created a documentary series called Hometown Baghdad that by web standards was a huge success for us. We launched it on the 5th, 6th, oh I can't remember, 5th anniversary of the war. And we had over 3 million viewers in 2 weeks watching 3 young people as they just lived their normal life in Baghdad. And we were touted in the media as the first documentary webisodic series. We did 38 episodes, and we were covered by most major media in the world, CNN, New York Times, Le Monde, like any international newspaper. So for the media success that it was, the comments that came from Hometown Baghdad of 3 million sites was disappointing, what we were trying to do was engage our audience on a personal level, and the video did, but the way that you are allowed to comment on the web did not suit what we were trying to do. Conversations are, when you leave comments, they're confusing, they're overlapping, the barrier to entry is high, you feel like you need to be a professional or an expert at something, and it just wasn't a welcoming place to have a conversation. And so, from the content production point of view, we wanted to make that space more inviting for people and to build online relationships. So we developed what is called the Qwidget. You can take content from any site, this is Malaria No More as our example, and Qwidget is just a little question that's embedded within any content provider. And it's a simple polling question, and statistics show that most people will answer a poll. It asks you a question. I think this one says, do you think the UN can solve the malaria crisis, or something similar to that. And it's a yes, no, or maybe question. But what Qwidget does differently than other polls is the minute you answer your question, it will pop up and it will ask you why. So as you're developing your thoughts about, do I do yes, no, or maybe, it will in 200 characters or less, ask you why you thought the way that, or why you answered the way that you did. Your answer is posted publicly for anybody who's on that site, for anybody to see. It's what slide are we on? If there's my colleague Michael has answered the question as to why he thinks. What did he say? Maybe I can't see that board. Sorry, but he. If he answers maybe the UN thinks that, that they can solve malaria, I as a user can privately respond to Michael and say, you think that only maybe because the UN is a blah blah blah, or I can't believe that you think in that direction, and you can build a relationship with people one-on-one. We joke in our office that it's like Match.com on values. You're relating to people on what they think and what they feel about a particular issue. It's people talking about the same stuff. So, thank you. That was better actually. So it's what Qwidget does is it provides a database of questions. So once a publisher publishes a question about their content, as an example, the malaria question, there's a couple other publishers have also used the question, do you think that the UN can solve the malaria crisis? And Qwidget syndicates all those users. So this is a findingDulcinea is also one of our beta partners. Thank you, Mark. And Malaria No More and findingDulcinea use the same question. And so all the users are generated on both websites. Any publisher that uses, if CNN uses it, if MTV uses it, every answer will look like you've jump-started a conversation. So anybody who's answered that question will be published on all of those sites. And when you respond directly to somebody else who's answered that question, you will remain on that publisher's site. So publishers are not losing their users, and people also can cross-pollinate to see, oh, Malaria No More says this about malaria. I wonder what findingDulcinea says, because it shows that Kate answered that question on findingDulcinea. And it's from a user's perspective, you can go through websites and find more information about what you're looking for. You're building private relationships, like I said, with people online. So back to my Baghdad example, when people were putting all these comments on and our 3 Iraqi guys were also leaving comments. Relationships started building, but they weren't going anywhere. And one of the user in San Francisco, a kid who was commenting, actually met Saif, one of our characters, and flew to Amman, Jordan, and spent 6 weeks with him to know more about what his life was like. And we wanted that personal relationship online, and you couldn't do that in comment boards. And so that was sort of the impetus and the genesis of Qwidget. When we'll keep the database of questions. Like I said, Qwidget has the largest database of questions. Hopefully, we'll have the largest database of questions in the world. When you're looking, you can use keywords. You'll go through and you'll say, I want to know something about malaria, and you'll see all the questions that other publishers have asked about malaria. Choose the same question, and then you'll be connected with the publishers from the same site. And then lastly, we can do, as Jordan was saying, that you can call all of the users' information and say, what do girls who are 20 to 25 who live in New York City think of malaria? And you can provide information to any of your publishers that is instant, that is cheap, and that is accurate. Qwidget.